It's Wednesday, December 2nd, and this is your coffee break on the HAN network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and we're following several news stories today, including the death of a young Trumbull man following a Thanksgiving morning accident, as well as a man arrested for driving drunk in a Christmas parade, and much more local news. Rob Adams will bring us the latest in Connecticut sports and weather, and Donald Eng will take a look back on this day in history. We also have Talking Transportation with Jim Cameron. But first, a Trumbull resident has died after sustaining a serious head injury during a rollover crash that happened around 1 a.m. Thanksgiving morning on Beardsley Parkway. Police said that 21-year-old Anthony Texera was riding in a Nissan Pathfinder with 4 other passengers when the vehicle flipped before coming to a rest on its passenger side. According to reports from close family friends, he was taken off life support Monday morning. Police Lieutenant Leonard Cinto said that 4 other passengers were also injured in the crash. Their injuries range from scrapes and cuts to broken bones, he said. However, none are considered to be life-threatening. According to his Facebook page, Texera was set to graduate from Central Connecticut State University this spring. He played on the Trumbull High School boys soccer team all 4 years in high school and played varsity as a junior and senior, where he scored 7 goals and recorded 2 assists. A GoFundMe page has been set up for Texera's hospital expenses, and the community has gathered around the family, lighting candles last night in his memory. You can follow that story at TrumbullTimes.com. A 17-year-old girl who left her home after an argument with her mother on Saturday may be in New York City, according to Milford police. Samantha Oliveras may have taken a train to Manhattan, according to Officer Joseph Dempsey. Police are asking for the public's help in locating her. Oliveras is 5 feet 3 inches tall, weighs about 110 pounds, and has brown hair and eyes. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is urged to call the Milford police at 203-878-6551. And the Valley Independent Sentinel is reporting that an 80-year-old man was arrested Sunday for allegedly driving drunk in the Seymour Christmas parade. The driver, Lester Warner of Bethany, drove a convertible Chevy Caprice with classic plates during the parade, according to Seymour Police Department Deputy Chief Paul Satkowski. The car had a sign on it promoting the Bethany Volunteer Fire Department's Santa's Elves. Police began receiving reports during the approximately 1-mile parade that Warner's car was swerving on the parade route. At one point, his car drove toward children watching the parade on a sidewalk, but Warner righted the vehicle and continued on. According to Satkowski, there was an open container of alcohol in the car while he was driving. In addition to driving under the influence, Warner was charged with second-degree reckless endangerment and risk of injury to a child. In front of him were marchers, women, and children, according to Satkowski. Police pulled him over toward the end of the parade. He said they investigated and he submitted to field sobriety tests, which he failed. The Seymour Christmas Parade included 50 marching units with a bevy of Christmas-themed floats, according to parade organizers. Well, in an update on a story we've been following this week, electrical wiring in the basement staircase led to a fire that destroyed a historic Monroe house early Sunday morning, according to Fire Marshal William Davin. No one was injured in the blaze, which was reported shortly after 5 a.m., but the home located at 181 Hammertown Road in Monroe is likely a total loss. The loss of the Hammertown Road salt box is a dreadful loss to the community, according to town historian Ed Coffey. He said the home, owned by the Monroe Historical Society president John Selk and his wife, Historical Society board member Sue Selk, included 5 fireplaces and was unique in a number of ways. According to Coffey, it dates back to the 1750s and was one of the oldest homes in Monroe. In fact, it was built before there was a town of Monroe, and for that matter, before there was the United States. The house was built when the area was still called the parish of New Stratford, which was part of the town of Stratford. Some news stories on the fire have described the house as having been part of the Underground Railroad, but Coffey said he's seen those reports, but he did not know where that claim originated. However, you can get more on the history of the home at MonroeCourier.com. And in the 6 years since it took its first steps, the Norwalk River Valley Trail project has progressed more quickly in Wilton than anyone anticipated. Just 3 years ago, trail supporters were talking in the 10 to 15 year range. The Wilton Bulletin reports that thanks to enthusiasm and generosity of community members, businesses, and foundations, things have moved much more quickly, particularly in Wilton, where ground was broken 2 years ago. It is likely that within 5 to 7 years, trail users should be able to go from Wilton Center all the way to the Maritime Aquarium. In an interview with the Bulletin, Pat Sesto, who's chairman of the project steering committee, expressed her gratitude to those who have supported the trail and said the hours put in by volunteers are definitely worth it when you see the diversity of people using it. When complete, the 38-mile trail will extend from Calf Pasture Beach in Norwalk to Rogers Park in Danbury, passing through Wilton, Reading, and Ridgefield. With 1.5 miles of the eastern portion of the 8-mile Wilton Loop completed, the Wilton Committee is looking to install 300 feet of boardwalk over wetlands from the trail's present terminus to Twin Oak Lane and then complete another half mile to Skunk Lane. There are also plans to build a short section along Wolf Pit Road at Horseshoe Pond. The work is planned for 2016. In Monroe, 2 men have been arrested and charged with driving under the influence of alcohol in separate incidents that took place within a few minutes of each other on November 26th. According to Captain Michael Flick, 32-year-old Mark Rodriguez of Monroe was arrested after an officer spotted a tan Jeep Wrangler traveling west on Pepper Street, weaving between the center line and the right side of the road around 1 a.m. A computer check of the registration plate showed that it had expired, and upon making the stop at the intersection of Route 25 and Route 59, police said Rodriguez had alcohol in his breath and failed a field sobriety test. He later registered a .159 on a breath test. The legal limit, of course, is .08. Rodriguez was charged with driving under the influence and is set to appear in court December 8th. However, just 16 minutes later, police arrested Christopher Phillips, who's 45 years old and from Stratford, after an officer allegedly witnessed him drive his Toyota Corolla through a stop sign on Route 110 at a high rate of speed and narrowly missed crashing into a guardrail as he turned onto Route 111. Police followed Phillips onto Route 111, where he allegedly veered into oncoming traffic, causing several cars to take evasive action. Upon stopping Phillips's car, police reported his breath smelled of alcohol and that he failed a field sobriety test. He refused to take a breath test, however, which results in an automatic license suspension. He was charged with driving under the influence and failure to stay in the proper lane. All right, time to throw it over to Rob Adams now for a look at today's weather. Rob?
Kate, well, into our lives, some rain must fall because, to be honest, it's been pretty dry, so it is raining outside. Occasional showers today. Widespread fog didn't seem too bad this morning, but hopefully it'll stay like that. Steady temperatures around 49 with a light east wind. We move on to tonight. Occasional showers mainly before 10 and areas of fog before 8 in the evening, a low 44 with the wind out of the southeast from 6 to 8 becoming west after midnight. To Thursday, slight chance of showers before noon, partly sunny, high near 50. Now the wind will be from the west from 11 to 17, so a little stronger. Keep that in mind. Partly cloudy for Thursday night, low 32. We move to Friday, sunny and a high near 47. Friday night mostly clear, low 33. Saturday will be sunny and 48. Sunny for Sunday and 51 for the high. So not so bad as we get into the weekend. It is December after all. Darien has 46, Ridgefield 44, and right here in Shelton, it's 44 degrees. Kate?
All right, thanks, Rob. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Donald Eng is going to give us a look back on this day in history. Rob has the latest in Connecticut sports, and we have a lot more news coming up on your coffee break after this.
Had a sports injury that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist quickly. Their highly trained orthopedic professionals expertly treat you without an appointment. Skiing, snowboard, or sports accident, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk. Call 203-845-2070 or coastalorthoexpress.com. Find them on Facebook at Coastal Ortho CT.
Darien Sports Shop is a unique store because it's a family store. A busy mom can come in with kids in tow and find everything she needs for them, and even find a dress for herself for Saturday night. And if she's in a rush, she can simply go home and order it from us that night. We'll deliver it the next day. The Darien Sports Shop. We're pretty on the outside and amazing on the inside. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
Football University, the nation's leading football training experience, is now accepting applications for its 2015 camps. Our elite faculty of NFL coaches and top professionals teach position-specific on the field and in the classroom to improve your football IQ and help you reach your full potential as a player. Apply today at footballuniversity.org. Football University, where technique plus talent beats talent alone.
The fall bite is heating up. Albies, bonita, blackfish, alligator blues, and stripers are following the large schools of bait in the Long Island Sound. This is the time to visit the New England coast, and the Dock Shop can get you outfitted with the latest fishing gear, jackets, hats, gloves, and fleece. Boater, beach bum, fishermen simply love the New England coast. This is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, now in 2 locations, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, or on the web, dockshop.com.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. 102,000 viewers have enjoyed the HAN Network in just the last 6 weeks. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
I'm Denise DiGregoli, the host of The Drive on the HAN Network. Join me Tuesdays for some motivational, intelligent talk with a little humor as we visit with people who live their lives mindfully. Tune in to The Drive live on Tuesdays, 12:30, here on the HAN Network.
And we're back on this Wednesday edition of your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, throwing it over to Donald Eng now for a look back on this day in history for December 2nd. Don.
All right, Kate. Well, on this date, a dentist took one for the medical team. But first we go to 1804 at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Napoleon Bonaparte crowns himself Emperor of the French. Note the wording there, by the way. He was not proclaiming himself to be the Emperor of the nation of France. His authority, according to him, extended to all French people. 1823, the Monroe Doctrine. In a State of the Union message, President James Monroe proclaims American neutrality in future European conflicts and warns European powers not to interfere in the Western Hemisphere, or the Americas actually. How he planned to enforce that warning, it remains something of a mystery. 1859, militant abolitionist John Brown hanged for the October 16th raid on Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. His body, by the way, remains a moldering in the grave. 1927, after 19 years of Ford Model T production, the Ford Motor Company unveils the Ford Model A as its new automobile. Like the Model T, the Model A was an enormous success and extended motoring to the general public. And finally, we go to 1982 for this.
Barney Clark is alive on a man-made heart this evening after nearly dying before doctors got a chance to implant it. His own heart was so diseased it nearly stopped last night, forcing surgeons here to operate almost 12 hours earlier than planned. For 3 years, this 61-year-old dentist has suffered from cardiomyopathy, the progressive weakening of the heart muscle.
His heart was really not pumping. It was just almost quivering.
Last night, surgery began just before 11:30.
That was 1982. The University of Utah implants a permanent artificial heart into the chest of retired dentist Barney Clark. He knew his chances of survival were virtually nil, but agreed to have the surgery in the interest of advancing scientific research. He would actually live about 112 days with the device, though he was only semi-conscious for most of that time. A few months later, William Schrader received an artificial heart and survived 620 days. To this day, no artificial heart has been effective as a permanent replacement, and the Clark case created the concept of bioethics, that is, the morality of using artificial means to keep a patient alive in a hopeless circumstance. That is your look back in history, and I am Donald Eng.
All right, thanks so much, Don. Well, before we throw it over to Rob, getting back to a little more news today, riders of Metro North can expect to pay a little more for their tickets on the first of the year. The State Department of Transportation said a fare increase of 1% goes into effect on the Connecticut portion of the New Haven line on January 1st. The DOT said it's the 5th of 7 consecutive annual increases they requested to help finance the M8 cars that were put into service in recent years. The increase affects ticket prices between Connecticut and New York stations and between Connecticut stations. The DOT said some fares may not actually change due to rounding since it's such a small percentage. The change will not affect travel to and from stations within New York State. For more information, you can check mta.info. Well, it's time to take a look at the latest in local sports with Rob Adams.
All right, Kate, thanks very much. Good morning once again, everyone. The 2015 CIAC football playoffs got underway last night with 16 quarterfinal games around the state. Locally, the FCAC placed 5 teams, and they wound up 3-2 on the night. Let's start in Class LL. We moved down to Brian McMahon High School's Jack Casagrande Field. Staples couldn't overcome injuries to several key players, including Ethan Berger, their running back, as Darien rolled to a 41-7 win. That's a matchup between 2 FCAC teams. Obviously, somebody had to lose. Timmy Graham threw 3 touchdown passes. Shelby Grant returned a kick 85 yards for a score. The Blue Wave will next take on Southington in a game that will now take place at Boyle Stadium. So not Brian McMahon, we moved to Boyle Stadium. There's much more to it than that. The Blue Knights beat Conard 48-6. Incidentally, many poll voters around the state consider Southington and Darien to be the 2 best teams in the state, and I can't argue with that. Not that the opinion matters. Again, the game will be at Boyle Stadium due to the lack of lights in Darien. Dave Stewart and I will talk much more about this on Nutmeg Sports at 2. We'll get into the whole lights topic. Staying in Class LL, Shelton topped West Haven 40-20. Senior quarterback Zach Tuskowski completed 13 of 19 for 191 yards and 3 touchdowns, coupled with senior running back Peter Hoff's 196 yards rushing and a touchdown on 23 carries. The Gales will play Newtown in the semifinals. The Nighthawks squeaked by Glastonbury in the game of the night, 21-20. Let's go to Class L now, where New Canaan made the long drive up to Windsor and came away with a 21-6 win. The Rams lost Matt Cognetta to an injury, and that seemed to fire the Rams up. New Canaan held Windsor to just 226 total yards. Michael Collins was 16 of 28 for 187 yards and 1 touchdown, as well as 2 INTs. Anthony Pirelli of Hearst Media tweeted that Rams head coach Lou Marinelli said, quote, "I wonder if Frank Marcuccio was watching us play in the rain tonight. We beat a pretty good team, so I hope you saw it." The quote is a reference to the head coach of West Hill, who scoffed when the Rams postponed a game with the Vikings due to the weather. Also in Class L, Notre Dame of West Haven beat Harding 34-0, ending the President's magical run. North Haven over Middletown 48-13, Wethersfield 33, Torrington 6. On to Class M now, where New Fairfield shut down St. Joseph 24-0. Elsewhere, it was Ledyard over Bacon Academy 55-6. Stratford's season comes to an end with a 35-0 loss to Killingly. Brookfield over Abbott Tech Immaculate 35-6. Now we move on to Class S, and get ready for it. As much as I like Southington and Darien, we've got the Crusaders and the Chargers now. Top seed Ansonia beat Capital Advance 35-13, while Trinity Catholic knocked off Morgan 40-12 to set up a great matchup in the semis next Monday at Jarvis Field. Also, it was Broomfield over East Catholic 28-20, and Seymour doubled up Granby 56-28. Dave Stewart comes in, joins me for Nutmeg Sports today. We'll talk about the lights. We'll talk about all the football stuff around the state. Going to be a good show at 2 o'clock today. Of course, Dave got to see the New Canaan victory over Windsor, so we'll really break that one down as well. So lots to talk about Nutmeg Sports later today at 2. With sports, I'm Rob Adams. Kate, back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, getting back to a little news today, Connecticut's comptroller Kevin Lembo reported Tuesday that after accounting for about $102.8 million in receipts announced in September and the updated consensus revenue forecast announced last month, the state is on track to end the current fiscal year with a $122.4 million deficit. This projection increases the deficit by the $4 million over last month's projection, Lembo said. In a letter to Governor Daniel Malloy, Lembo said the Office of Policy and Management's latest deficit projection is feasible based on OPM's past success in achieving overall budgeted savings goals. However, Lembo said the ongoing deficit mitigation talks involving the administration and legislative leaders are correct in targeting between $350 million to $370 million in light of troubling economic trends over the past 2 months. Lembo said he is very concerned about more recent disruptions to the state's positive economic trends. He said of greatest concern are the last 2 consecutive months of state job losses and the related negative impact on the withholding portion of the income tax. Well, in happier news, Stratford's Dr. Francis Schifo was taken by surprise Monday night when he was honored by St. Vincent's Medical Center at its new wellness center. To see his name revealed above the entrance of the community education room at the Stratford Health and Wellness Center left Dr. Schifo speechless, according to the Stratford Star. All he could do was put a hand over his mouth while an audience of coworkers, family, and former patients applauded. Yet Schifo, who thought the event was just to celebrate the education room's formal opening, had no idea he was being honored until his name was revealed. The honor is well-deserved, according to friends and colleagues at St. Vincent's. But you can get the full story at stratfordstar.com. Going to throw it back to Rob quickly for another look at today's weather. Rob?
All right, thanks, Kate. Occasional showers today, widespread fog, steady temperatures around 49 with that wind very light out of the east. Occasional showers tonight, mainly before 10, areas of fog before 8 tonight, low around 44. To tomorrow, slight chance of showers before noon, partly sunny, high near 50 with a west wind 11 to 17, so that'll drop the wind chill down a bit. As we get to Thursday night, partly cloudy, low 32, west wind 9 to 13, so the wind chill values between 25 and 30. Sunny and 47 for Friday, mostly clear Friday night, 33 for the low. Sunny and 48 for Saturday, sunny and 51 for Sunday, sunny and 50 as we get back to the work week on Monday. New Canaan up to 46, Ridgefield is now up to 45, and here in Shelton, 46 degrees, Kate.
All right, thanks so much, Rob. Well, we're going to take a break and come back and talk transportation with Jim Cameron. We'll also recap some of the top stories we're following today. That's coming up on your coffee break after this.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances. Where community comes first. A place where there's more than one kind of interest. Where automation will never replace consideration. Where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
In Pound Ridge since 1993, the Wine Connection is one of America's best wine shops. Visit our beautiful store for the greatest in wine and knowledgeable service. With wonderful values from around the world to collectibles for your cellar, we are your one-stop source. Visit our online shop at wineconn.com and make sure to sign up for email updates. With great offers, new arrivals, and special events, don't miss all the action at the Wine Connection, including tastings every weekend. The Wine Connection, located at 32 Westchester Avenue, Pound Ridge, New York.
This fall for our red panda. That's right, Rashawn the red panda will be visiting the Beardsley Zoo for a limited time. Resembling raccoons, red pandas primarily eat bamboo, but will occasionally eat fruits, berries, young leaves, and certain tree bark, like their better-known black and white cousins. As an adult, Rashawn is expected to weigh 10 to 12 pounds, and you can see him at the South American Rainforest exhibit, Connecticut's Beardsley Zoo of Bridgeport. A whole new experience. 875 Noble Avenue, Bridgeport. 203-394-6565.
Find over 1,000 special stories at Hospital for Special Surgery. Go to hss.edu/backinthegame.
I was jogging 5 months after my cartilage tear.
Skiing a year after hip surgery.
And playing grandma 4 weeks after hip replacement.
One special hospital, 1,000 special stories. See Connecticut patients at hss.edu/CT.
Back to school means back to busy, and Stewart's Market can save you precious time by stocking all of your favorite essentials under one roof. For a healthy start to school, we have all the ingredients. Walter Stewart's, your family-owned fresh local market, 229 Elm Street and at stewartsmarket.com.
We're back on this Wednesday, December 2nd edition of your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, recapping some of the top stories we're following today. A Trumbull resident has died after sustaining serious head injuries during a rollover crash that happened around 1 a.m. Thanksgiving morning on the Beardsley Parkway. Police say that 21-year-old Anthony Texera was riding in a Nissan Pathfinder with 4 other passengers when the vehicle flipped before coming to a rest on its passenger side. According to reports from close family friends, Texera was taken off life support Monday morning. Police Lieutenant Leonard Cinto said that the 4 other passengers were also injured in the crash. Their injuries range from scrapes and cuts to broken bones. He said, however, none are considered to be life-threatening. According to his Facebook page, Texera was set to graduate from Central Connecticut State University this spring. He was also an accomplished athlete while at Trumbull High School. A GoFundMe page has been set up for Texera's hospital expenses, and the community has gathered around the family, lighting candles last night in his memory. You can follow that story at TrumbleTimes.com. And in Milford, a 17-year-old girl who left her home after an argument with her mother on Saturday may be in New York City, police said. Samantha Oliveras may have taken a train to Manhattan, according to police officer Joseph Dempsey. Police are asking for the public's help in locating her. Oliveras is 5 feet 3 inches tall, weighs about 110 pounds, and has brown hair and eyes. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is urged to call the Milford Police at 203-878-6551. And the Valley Independent Sentinel reports that an 80-year-old man was arrested Sunday for allegedly driving drunk in the Seymour Christmas Parade. The driver, Lester Warner of Bethany, drove a convertible Chevy Caprice with classic plates during the parade, according to Seymour Police Department Deputy Chief Paul Setkowski. The car had a sign on it promoting the Bethany Volunteer Fire Department's Santa's Elves. Police began receiving reports during the approximately 1-mile parade that Warner's car was swerving on the parade route. At one point, his car drove toward children watching the parade on a sidewalk, but he righted the vehicle and continued on. According to Setkowski, there was an open container of alcohol in the car while he was driving. In addition to driving under the influence, Warner was charged with second-degree reckless endangerment and risk of injury to a child. But that's going to do it for this Wednesday edition of your coffee break. However, keep watching because we're going to throw it over to Jim Cameron now, who's talking transportation. So check that out and have a great day, everyone.
Want to go into the city and see the big tree? I'm Jim Cameron for Talking Transportation, commentary and analysis on getting around in Connecticut. So with the holidays upon us, let's review some money-saving tips for riding Metro North into the city. Tips good for commuters and day trippers alike. The first is something called Transit Check. Now you should check to see if your employer subscribes to this great service. It allows workers to buy up to $130 per month in transit using pre-tax dollars. If you're in the upper tax brackets, that's a huge saving on commutation. A recent survey showed something like 45% of all New York City companies support the Transit Check program, which can be used on trains, subways, even on ferry boats. Another money-saving tip, go off-peak. If you can arrive in Grand Central weekdays after 10 a.m. and can avoid the busy 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. peak return hours, you can save 25% on your fares. Off-peak is also good on weekends and holidays. The tickets are good for 60 days after purchase. Always buy your tickets in advance. If you buy your ticket on the train, you're going to pay the conductor a $5.75 to $6.50 service charge, a mistake you probably will only make once. Seniors, don't worry, you're exempt. You can buy on board anytime without a penalty. There are ticket machines at most stations, but the cheapest tickets, ironically, are bought online. And go for those 10-trip tickets, peak or off-peak. You can save an additional 15%. They can be shared among passengers. They're good for 6 months. Kids, families, seniors, you get special fares. Buy tickets for your kids aged 5 through 11 in advance and save 50% over adult fares. Or pay $1 per kid on board, up to 4 kids traveling with an adult, but not in the morning peak. Seniors, the disabled, and those on Medicare, they get 50% off on their one-way fare. But you must have the proper ID and you can't go in on the morning rush hour trains. Look for free station parking. Even stations that require weekday parking permits usually offer free parking after 5 p.m. on nights and on weekends. Check with your local town. Metro cards. Forget about those old subway tokens, friends. These nifty cards can be bought at most stations, even combined with your Metro North ticket, and they offer some pretty good deals. Put $5.50 on a Metro card, bought with either cash, credit, or a debit card, and you get a 5% bonus. Swipe your card to ride the subway, and you get a free transfer to a connecting bus, or vice versa. You can buy unlimited ride Metro cards for a week for $31 or for a month for $116.50. But the big question is it cheaper to drive? Despite being a mass transit advocate, I'm the first to admit that there may be times when it is really cheaper to drive to Manhattan than to take the train, especially if you have 3 or more passengers. And you can avoid those costly bridge tolls by taking the Major Deegan Expressway to the Willis 3rd Avenue Bridge. I can't help you with the traffic you're going to have to endure, though. Check out bestparking.com to find a great list of parking lots in New York City, some of them even offering coupons and discounts. Or, alternatively, drive to Shea Stadium, take the number 7 subway from there. It'll drop you right off at Grand Central. The bottom line is, it isn't cheap going into the city, but with a little planning and some insider tips, you can still save money. Happy holidays. I'm Jim Cameron for Talking Transportation.